What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Joystick Show. Okay, let's do that again. I said stick and not shtick. Let's run it again.
Episode 150 something or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, what was it? No, okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Joystick Show. We got a big one for you tonight. We're going to kick it off with news. We have Joker Folie À Deux, Joker 2, basically. We have a question here. How do we feel about Sam Raimi directing Avengers Secret Wars? We'll get into that. We also have big news on WonderCon 24. And then we're getting into our reviews. We have Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. We have X-Men 97, Episode 3. Invincible Part 2, Episode 7 is how we're going to end that tonight. And next week, we're going to kick it off with Shogun, the last two episodes. So 6 and 7, I believe. So tune in next week for Shogun. And thanks for sticking with us.
The Joystick Show. The Joystick Show.
Aloha and welcome to The Joystick Show, a podcast where three friends from high school in Hawaii get together to chat about the latest things we've watched, read, and played. We are missing Drake tonight, but we have Scott here.
How's it?
And we have a very special guest. He shouldn't even be a guest. He's kind of just an honorary member at this point. We have Frank for Geek Freaks. Frank, how are you doing?
Hey guys, I kidnapped Drake. He's in my closet right now. You're never getting him back. Just so you.
Yeah. Oh man. That's why the Amber Alert's going off on my phone. But yeah, we have some exciting news. We had a big weekend at WonderCon. Hopefully a lot of people got to see it on social media. But before we get into WonderCon, we got a new poster for Joker Folie À Deux. We found out that there's going to be a trailer on April 9th. How excited are you guys for Joker?
Anxious is better than excited. With
Okay.
the musical aspect, I'm kind of like, okay, I trust you. I trust you, Todd Phillips.
You kind of liked Cats, so I don't know.
You know what? Yeah,
Some of
if
the
I'm
best
out there
movie
building
ever.
memories in the middle of the theater, then they nailed it. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Cautiously anxious. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Nice.
Yeah, I often said, like, if Madam Web just had more music in it probably would have saved the movie.
That's what it is.
Oh my
Adam
God.
Webb, yeah, on a bonfire.
But yeah, I think I'm with Frank there. The heavy musical aspect makes me nervous. I just don't know what to expect, but I trust the team. But I can't lie and say I'm not nervous about that part.
Yeah, I feel you. I think you guys are pretty right on that. I mean, if it wasn't for Challenge Accepted and us covering Joker, I didn't remember that movie as fondly. And then going back and rewatching it, I was like, oh, wow. So there's a lot of musical elements in that movie already, and it makes sense what they're doing. Plus, like Lady Gaga's kind of become a star in her own right. And A Star is Born, which was like her breakout movie. I feel like, dude, if they bring an element of that into this movie where Joaquin Phoenix is just putting on a masterclass, like, hell yeah, let's go. So I think the poster, I didn't really love the poster. I think the stills are better, but I'm actually becoming more and more excited about this movie.
Last time we analyzed Joker, the first one of the things we discussed was the fact that you see Joaquin Phoenix dance alone a lot of times. And so after discussing that and really figuring out what that means for that character, I think I'm more excited for this becoming a musical, because then it's very clear by all the art that we're seeing by this poster. The idea is that he found his dancing partner, and that makes so much sense to me now when you think of the Joker Harley Quinn relationship. So there is a glimmer of hope that if they can land that, it might be phenomenal.
Yeah. It seems like she has some kind of comic accurate, like more adapted comic outfits. But I saw a picture of her on the stairs, like doing the stair, and I'm like, oh God, she's getting the stair scene. So I think that's going to be pretty damn good. They're both so talented. I have no reason to doubt this movie. Do I think it's going to make $1 billion? Probably not. But I think it's going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah. It's a day one watch for me.
Nice.
Fair, yeah.
What about you? You too, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely depends on my work schedule nowadays, but I want to see it as soon as possible. Yeah.
Right on. Definitely. All right. So we got some news from Sam Raimi. Somebody has asked him about Spider-Man and if he's going to be directing Spider-Man 4. He said, not quite working on it yet. Do you guys care if he does Spider-Man 4?
It's so interesting you brought that up. I put a poll out there saying, do you guys even want a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire?
Where'd you put the poll up?
Threads. And
On Geek Freaks?
yes, over on Geek Freaks Threads.
There you go.
Maybe I should have put it up
Plug.
just something I'm saying. But
No.
for the most part, people do want it, but it was not overwhelming. It was like 63-40 something or other. You guys know the math.
Oh,
And
yeah, it's pretty even. Almost
yeah,
even.
not crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so what it was he was talking to CBR. That was one of their interviewers. They do great work over there, and the interviewers do anyways. And that was one of the things he was like, well, they haven't really talked to me yet. And he was even saying like, basically he was saying like, Tom Holland's killing it. Why would they talk to me? But he is open to doing it if they want to. And more importantly, he said, if I do anything with Marvel, I would really like to do their Secret Wars or an Avengers movie. He said, hinting to Secret Wars.
There you go. Yeah, which was going to lead me into my next question. Do we want Sam Raimi directing Secret Wars? Scott, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down for it. I enjoyed the
wrong answer. Okay, Frank, what's your no?
Wait, do it again. Fuck no, dude. Why is he still directing?
No. I just had such mixed signals on Multiverse of Madness. Like, there's so many parts of it I love, but I'm realizing like I'm not a big camp person. If you listen to Challenge Accepted, like you kind of know that like camp's not really my thing. I'm realizing, and I don't know. I guess that's where I'm like, Secret Wars with him. I'm not sure, but hey, whatever your opinion is, it's valid. Sorry, I cut you off.
There you go. I mean, like, I'm not super strong either way. I feel like, I just want something good right now. I'm looking forward to Deadpool right now. And you know, if that does good, then it'll build up my my hope in all the Marvel things going forward. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, I enjoyed the second Doctor Strange movie, but it had a very different feel. And I guess if we are trying to, if we yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Do I want a Avengers movie with a very Sam Raimi feel? Like he might try to take chances, like, oh, I really want it to be mine. Then it might get kind of weird. But I feel like he's talented enough to like make a solid movie. So it all depends on how many chances he wants to take with it, like creatively and whatnot. But I think he's very capable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What about you, Frank? What do you think?
The holy grail of Sam Raimi is Spider-Man 2. If you could recapture that, which he took almost a old school horror vibe for it, the zooms, the shadows. I'm fully on board with Sam Raimi taking care of this. I know you don't like camping, and by the way, Scott, in case you didn't hear, he doesn't like Tim. Oh God, now I can't even think. I was gonna say Tim Russ. That's the wrong actor, but
I love him. I don't know who you're talking about, but I love him. He's my favorite.
Check out our Congo episode. Me and Drake basically badmouthed.
No, I love Tim Curry. I just didn't like his accent in Congo.
Yeah,
I didn't like his accent in Congo. It was very specific.
Me and Drake put him in check up for the Tim Curry thing.
Okay, good.
You proud of us? But anyway,
keep trying because I still don't like it.
But if we look at Doctor Strange 2, that came at a time when Marvel was doing that whole like multiverse. Let's try things. Everything goes up against the wall. It was that gap where Bob Iger wasn't at Disney. And so I think if we were to put Raimi back in charge of something, especially something as big as Avengers, I think he would do what he does best, which is take chances and stuff like that, Evil Dead and whatnot, but also have the very clear endpoint. And he didn't have that with Doctor Strange. Like you could tell Marvel didn't know what was going to happen after Endgame, and so they gave him a movie that was really setting up a lot of multiverse stuff that was shaky, right? But with this, it's like, hey, at the end, you got to kill everybody who's not going to be in the future of MCU. You got to kill Toby's, you got to kill, Garfield's, you got to do everything. And so I think this would be good because it'd be very strict on what he could do, and he could do cool cinematography. And that I love about him.
And he kills awesome. We've seen that.
Yep.
Fantastic Four being taken down, or like Mr. Fantastic and all that. That was awesome. That was one of the highlights of that movie. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, the way they killed their Doctor Strange with using not Thunderbolt. Like, God damn it, why can't I think of anybody's names today?
Tim Curry.
Using Tim Curry. No. Anson Mount.
Lucy the Gorilla.
Yeah, using Anson Mount to kill their Doctor Strange, I thought was probably one of the best deaths in MCU, really, and it was such a small piece. Yeah.
It was, and you're like, holy shit, they're going there. This is violent. I feel like he's a talented director. He really is. yeah, if they don't let him go as camp, I would be for it. I really feel like with the Avengers movie specifically, it has to be as commercially viable. And I know that's
Hmm.
like sounds maybe tacky to say or like, man, you're so boring, but it really should reach as many people as possible. And I appreciate a lot of the chances they took in phases 4 and 5 and all that. But now with the Avengers movie, you kind of got to bring it home. And it really has to land with the most amount of people and it has to be the biggest bang for the buck.
Hmm.
And yeah, I don't know if Multiverse of Madness did that, but I think he has the possibility to do it. And you're right. Like, if he could take some of what he did in Spider-Man 2 and juggling that many villains and that many storylines and ultimately having these heroes you want to root for, like, fuck yeah, I'm on board with that.
Such a great point about that, making sure it's marketable, because that's very much Bob Iger's, new plans for MCU. So Raimi's probably not on the top of his list, actually. He's probably looking for somebody who's going to just follow the script, make big explosions.
Hmm.
Um, a
So,
Michael Bay-esque character. I mean, like everybody talks smack about Michael Bay. The guy makes movies that
oh
you want to
my
watch.
God. You ever look up Michael Bay's IMDb? It's insane. He's
Yeah.
made so many like $100 million movies and like his
Yeah.
return on box office is insane. So yeah, definitely. Sam Raimi's probably more of a Sony Marvel person because it's all glitz and
That's fair.
glam and no substance. So yeah, get him on whatever atrocious
Morbius
villain.
2.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
yes.
Morbin time again.
Yeah. Oh,
But
man.
yeah, speaking of something else that was really fun that we got to attend this weekend was WonderCon 2024. It is a convention out in Anaheim Convention Center. Some people can know it for BlizzCon or for other conventions that are there. It's very close to Disney, but I got to go and walk the floor and just have a good time. It was just that. It was a good time. We got to talk about it in depth on Challenge Accepted. So go over there and go check it
Mhm.
out. But as Scott just exited through technical difficulties, I was kind of going to open it up the floor. Hey, he's back.
Yo.
Yay, Scott. I was kind of going to open the floor to you guys if there is anything that you were curious about in WonderCon that I could kind of elaborate more about.
How was it organized? Did you feel like it was as organized as San Diego or LA Comic Con? Because I know WonderCon is an older con, but this is a bit of a newer location, and I know that the Anaheim Convention Center is very vast, so it can be kind of lackluster if they don't fill the space.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question because I honestly feel like they did a great job of keeping it organized, keeping people moving through the lines. Like it was really, really well done and impressive.
Mhm.
But I will say it is a smaller con than LA Comic Con or San Diego or even BlizzCon for that matter.
Mhm.
It felt like there was maybe 75% to half the amount of people. So, it's a lot of real estate you can work with.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it still felt lived in and a ton of people there. So I think they did a great job.
Tell you what, that's sometimes a big benefit. Like at BlizzCon, for example, that exact same space, or D23 also in that same space, very, very crowded, and to the point where you feel like you're missing out on something. So that is nice. That's good.
No, you're right. Yeah, there was only one panel that was kind of hard for me to get into, and it was the X-Men 97 panel.
Of
Like, it
course.
took me a little bit of time. The panel before that one had gotten canceled, so there was people camping out.
Mhm.
And then, it took me a little bit of time in the line for people to leave so that I could get in there. But man, when I got in there, oh, holy shit, it was a vibe in
Heaven
there.
on
The
heaven.
I mean, yes, I honestly went in with my bias, being a massive X-Men fan, but just the whole audience was into it. Everybody was stoked. There was so much like top-notch X-Men cosplay in there, and then the questions, like they eventually opened the floor for you to talk to the voice cast or for the director Jake Castorino, and there was a line like from the mic to the back of the wall of people ready to ask questions. It was so fucking awesome. Like it
Nice.
really was, and so many people were excited. The voice cast was excited. Like everybody was going in and out of their voices and what they think about their characters. Like there was a question about which characters do they ship? Like, which characters do they want to see in relationships? And that
Mhm.
got like some really interesting answers. It eventually got to Magneto. I think he was first, actually. And they were like, who do you want to see Magneto get with? And he was like, Rogue, obviously. And it was like half cheering and half booing
Yeah.
because Gambit came in, AJ Lacasio came in and was like, I don't think so, in like the full
Mhm.
Gambit accent. And fuck, it was just a time, man. And they all came out of the room after and were just chatting with people. And the amount of people waiting after that panel was just, yeah, you could just tell there's something special about what's going on with X-Men 97. And it was just palpable through the whole con.
It's excellent.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, it was great. And another great one was director on directors. Some fascinating ones. Somebody who directed Abigail, which I'm going to go see in a couple weeks. Directed by Radio Silence, which is like the Daniels. They're two directors that work together. And then there was David Leitch, who's directed Deadpool and Bullet Train. He was really amazing, so humble for a guy who gets to work with the top tier of actors. Wes Ball, who comes from a way different background, more of a VFX, like traditionally trained, but has done things like Maze Runner and is now doing the Planet of the Apes movie. And hearing them talk to each other and their insecurities, but also where they feel like they succeed and how they feel like they have to constantly learn and adapt, and the future of cinema, like they were all saying there's something special about going to a movie theater and just being in a space with people you don't know, and then there's just like an energy that's there because you're amazed, because you're excited, because you don't know where it's going to go. It's just like it is a special thing, and it's always been a special place for me. I don't know about for you guys, but it's like my mom has always loved movies, and like anytime me and her could go to a movie, it was like the thing. It was like a special thing, and
Yeah.
I still feel like that. I still remember my 13th birthday taking all my friends to go see the original X-Men movie, and seeing how dark it is, opening up with like the Jews getting pulled into the concentration camps, which is not how a 13-year-old or 12-year-old should be celebrating a birthday, but it was still a memory I'm never going to forget. And yeah, knowing that they're aware of it, and they're trying to do everything they can to get people into this shared experience is I don't know, it's just kind of beautiful.
I know both of these panels were very impactful for you. You've mentioned them in the past, and it feels like they're kind of the two best you could expect from a panel, right? One being a celebration of the fandom, the other one being very informative, kind of behind the scenes. Which one do you prefer when you're generally going to a convention, and which one did you pull more from?
Dude, but I mean both. Like
Yeah.
I love seeing what the fans love, and because I want to know if I'm crazy, right? We do these reviews all the time,
Yeah.
and I'm like, is X-Men 97 really as good as my heart is telling me it is? And who gives? I mean, at the end of the day, who gives a shit? But I kind of also don't want to be so detached on something that I don't
Right.
realize what's going on the outside. But so there is something fascinating to me about that, but also like the behind the scenes, the creative process. Like I love all of it. I've realized over these last couple of years how much I love the movie making process, and also like the reception of things. We saw last year with Barbenheim and how it was a movement. Like it went beyond theaters and like what even the movies were about. It was just like, are you wearing pink or are you wearing black to the movie? And that whole aspect of it, what it does to culture and the way we look at the world and stuff. Yeah, I'm getting way too deep, but I think I love both of those. There was also some interesting ones that I stumbled into. I want to give a shout out to like the Welcome Party, who I made friends with, JPG, and his podcast, which is a really fun pop culture podcast. But then I went into like the history of the MonsterVerse through Universal Studios, and
Fascinating.
it was so fascinating how it went back to the late 1800s on the Dracula book, and then what it took for those studios to then adapt that book into a movie, and then the birth of Frankenstein, and how we still get movies about Frankenstein now because of those things, whether it's like Lisa Frankenstein or the zombie boyfriend genre, which seems to be a big thing somehow. All of that stuff is like so cool, and that's what you get from going to cons like this.
Yeah, you're so right. As podcasters, the three of us, I'm sure we all recognize the idea of like we might be excited about something, or but there's that podcaster side of us that are like, am I just being foolish or something like that, or not paying attention to the analytical side of things? And so sometimes when you're at a convention and you get to just talk to somebody else, like, how dope is Gambit today, or something like that. That's just so nice to have that confirmation.
Dude, you're so right. And I think for me, obviously through my last spiel, like I get too analytical and rather just like embracing it
It's
is
hard.
what it is. We're going to get into a little bit of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire again because Scott was able to recently see it. And I think I dig too deep into weeds, but sometimes like a movie should just be fun. Like I want to go see Godzilla versus Kong. It's not going to be good, but the action's going to be cool and the CG's going to be great. So it's like, fuck it. Just like have fun with this.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
with that Godzilla movie, the regular viewers seem to be loving it. It's like critics. It's funny, movies like that, you should just cover up the critic side of that review. Like we're not even looking at that. Like, you know, it's the actual people who just want to see monsters fight. Did they do a good job? It seems like they have. So I do want to check
Right.
that out too.
Yeah, I saw a meme online that was like Godzilla -1 was like a nice steak dinner, and then
Yeah.
Godzilla vs Kong was like the best burger you've ever had. Like
That's
one's
cool.
obviously not as good as the nice steak dinner, but you could still enjoy the fuck out of it, and like that's kind of what it is. I was like, oh, that meme perfectly describes it. I think I haven't watched it yet, but I think it will kind of align with where I'm at. But yeah, WonderCon. If anybody has any other questions, hit us up on social media. I'm happy to talk about it, and you know, if you haven't had the opportunity to go to a con, like do it. And I'm happy to walk you through what I've learned about them, what makes them so good, what you have to watch out for, what you should try to embrace, all the above. So hit us up on social media.
100%. If you see one of Joystick, Challenge Accepted, Geek Freaks, anybody that we're involved with going to one of these cons, and you want to say, hey, holy cow, do we love that when we get to meet new people and stuff like that. So just want to throw that out there. If you ever are following Joystick and you see Thomas saying, hey, I'm headed to San Diego Comic-Con in July or something, and you're going to tag him, hit him up. I'm sure he's gonna be happy to see you.
100%. Yep, definitely. And speaking of that, what would be the next con on your guys' list?
Man, I can't even tell you how busy I am with cons right now.
I know.
Our next was at the end of this month. It's the Capital Creative Showcase, which we're sponsors at that one, and we're sponsors of the next one. It's in the beginning of May, and it's like, bro, it's a lot of planning going on over around here right now. But I can't wait I'm hoping to be able to go to San Diego Comic-Con where I can just go and take pictures and hang out and have fun. So that'll be fun. I have fun at these two, by the way. I don't want to, but it's different kind of fun.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you, Scott?
Trying to look that up right now.
He's like, can I make it? What's the days? Do I have time
Yeah.
off?
There looks like in September we might have a Comic-Con.
Nice.
So
Really?
try to hit that up.
Oh shit. That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. All right, we're gonna try to get you out to that one for sure. All right, so that brings us to our review portion, and it's back to you, Scott. You were able to finally watch Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and you had some thoughts.
Yeah. So I think overall I really enjoyed this movie. I'm a big Ghostbusters fan. I enjoyed the crap out of the first two, and then I even liked the one they did before this one. It was like a nice different change of pace. I felt like they did a pretty good job of like merging that last movie into like what we knew from the first two movies, like because they're in the firehouse again, they're in New York.
Yeah. New
You
York.
got, and then because of that, they bring back some of the old characters. You got the what is it, Walter Peck character, the guy who just hates the Ghostbusters. He's like so against the Ghostbusters, like you guys are done. Like that's what he wants
Yeah.
to say the whole movie. And one point he does. I don't get it though, because they clearly need the Ghostbusters. It's like ghosts everywhere. I don't know how he's not getting haunted or whatnot. But other than that, I get it. He's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny to see how mad he gets at them. And the merging of the old and the new worked great for me. Like I think Paul Rudd is hilarious. He's still hilariously Paul Rudd. His wife was great. Carrie Coon. Phoebe Spengler.
Not yet, right? Wasn't
Huh?
that the whole
Oh,
thing?
yeah,
Was
sorry.
like
I mean-
he was still like he wasn't quite the dad, but he was like the
right.
boyfriend.
That
that's
actually
kinda in there.
that was a big plot point. But you know, you're watching the movie, they're basically married. There's even
Yeah.
a point in the movie where she's like, you could start saying stuff, and he's like, well, I don't want to, like discipline them and
Overstep.
push them away. She's like, what are you talking about? Like you're basically part of the family. So definitely got that vibe. They felt like a family already, so they did a good job in that regard. Finn Wolfhard as Trevor, hilarious teenager. There's just parts where so in the movie, there was like a younger crowd with us as well. Like some parents brought their kids, and like all the things Finn was doing, they're like audibly saying like, "Oh, don't put your finger in that." Like there's like slime coming out of the ceiling. She's like, like that's exactly
perfect.
what they want you to feel. So they nailed it. He was very like teenager. Phoebe Spangler, it was good to see her again. I was just a little disappointed. It felt with her in particular, like where her story arc was kind of like I wish that was stronger. The one thing I didn't really like in the movie was the relationship between her and the ghost girl played by Emily Lynn. Not because they're bad actresses at all. It didn't feel like the story was written strong enough. I don't know if there were scenes that were taken out that would have like made it stronger or what. I didn't
Yeah.
know if they were like if they just wanted to be friends, if they wanted to be more than friends, how it kind of
Right.
related to the overall everything else that was going on with the movie.
Yeah, the
It felt like
relationship was just not defined enough for you to be like, wait, are they together or are they just like really, really close friends? I think we're supposed to assume, but assuming can get you in a lot of trouble these days.
yeah, exactly. And then there's just moments where you're like, okay, well maybe they'll just show us like make some physical contact. They didn't do that. And they
Mhm.
didn't even just flat out tell us. And there were, we were talking a little bit off off pod, and we'll touch on it right now. So there's a point in the movie where Phoebe's talking to Dan Aykroyd's character because Dan Aykroyd's back, yeah, baby, and they're talking about what it'd be like to like be a ghost. Like, oh yeah, I've often wondered what it would be like to just be a free roaming spirit. And there's a point where she gets to do that. There's a machine that extracts ghosts from physical objects that are possessed with ghosts, and puts them in a machine, and then they can essentially just distracts them from this object. But when
Yeah.
she introduces it, she says like she knows she's like, I put these things in, and it'll extract my soul from my body for 2 minutes. That's the first I heard that. But
Yeah.
she's like for 2 minutes, and I'll come right back. I'm like, I don't know how that works, but ghost science. And then it does that. And then Frank had a good point where like she just walks out of the tube that is said to contain ghosts, so that didn't really make sense. But when she finally meets up with her ghost friend, they're just kind of like, okay, now what? Like it felt like you're like, are we gonna kiss? Like just kiss or something. I don't know what you gotta do. Hold hands,
Yeah, what are
talk,
you trying
like
to
rock
do
paper
here?
scissors. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't clear enough to like. I thought maybe she's like, oh, I can go through walls, like be excited about something, but because it does quickly take a turn, and like the bigger demon gets released, which is a really cool villain. And I thought he's got like basically he freezes the world with fear,
Mhm.
which is freaking cool. And he looked creepy. So he slowly gets released. So maybe that kind of impacted what could have happened in the 2 minutes that she was allowed to be out in ghost form. But that whole part was probably the one thing that didn't feel as right. But I think everything else was great. It was cool to see um Bill Murray again, Winston,
He was a standout
Ernie
for me.
Hudson.
Bill
Yeah,
Murray was like so Bill Murray in this, and he like every joke he had in the movie worked for me. I was
yeah,
cracking up. I was like, God dang, Bill
I
Murray still
agree.
got it. He's still
And
so fucking funny.
no, yeah, for sure. And I know this has been circulating now, but Ernie Hudson, I'm gonna say it, dude, that guy looks so damn good. He's like
Right?
Yeah.
78 or
Why
something.
does he look better at 78 than he did
He's
at like
older than Bill Murray.
40? Yeah, he looks so good. Man, him, Pharrell, who else? Will Smith, Paul Rudd. Like, what are they drinking? They have like special
Yeah.
water or something? I want to drink that water. They never age.
We were
Yeah.
talking about that in Congo. It's like that's took place in 96 or whatever. He looks the same, just with a little salt and pepper. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Right? His arms are buffer. Like, what? Why?
Yeah, he's like in better shape.
Totally.
And then
What
I
a
saw him,
jerk.
for all we know, that's just movie magic.
know,
Maybe he
right?
just has perfectly colored hair all the time. We don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's yeah, but he looks amazing. And then even the side characters, Patton Oswalt was hilarious in this.
Dude, Pat Oswalt
James
was amazing.
Acaster was hilarious in this. I think they just overall did a really solid job. It was just kind of creepy enough. Like they had the callback to the library ghost that still kind of creeped me out.
Yeah.
To this
That's
day.
cool.
Like I remember when I was a kid watching that, like, holy fuck. And then like the rest of the movie wasn't as scary as that lady.
Right, right.
And then when they showed it again, I'm like, yep, still creepy. So they, it's got that family fun factor and a little bit of creepiness to it. If they just made that one section I was talking about earlier a little stronger, I feel like it would do better than it's doing right now.
For that one
Yeah.
section, I took away kind of the awkward teen vibe. I thought maybe it's because this is the first time she's ever even considered love. And so maybe it was like, I don't know. And not to spoil anything, but we know that the motivations of the other girl were very different. And so she was kind of
spoil it. We've had like a couple weeks. Let's go.
no, go watch it, guys. No,
Watch right
she's
now. Spend more.
she's working for the demon. So she clearly needs, she's like, oh no, I'm betraying her by, so I think for her it was a little bit different. And I not to shame anybody, but she seems more experienced than Phoebe and the matters of love. And Phoebe's very new to this, and I think Phoebe's not understanding really anything right now. So I definitely think we're setting up Phoebe for a much bigger, she's already kind of the main character of the afterlife verse of this, but setting her up for a more of a love life in the next one, I think.
Definitely.
Also like kind of like a little tangent. I was thinking like, the ghost girl. Do we know how old she was? Like how long she's been dead?
Yeah.
Because like
154.
I'm thinking like, what is that?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like
154.
Yeah, you die like. Does she not mature as a ghost? I know like she's physically gonna look like the way she is as a ghost, but like she's also like an older person talking to like a young girl. So I was like, she still acts like a little kid. So I was like, I don't know how this all. And then I was overthinking things. I'm like, hey,
wow,
just get back to Ghostbusters.
Like
I went on this quick like tangent when they were playing chess. I'm like, how does it? Of course she's better at chess. She's been playing for years. And like, and I think that's probably what spun me into that. But I digress. But Kumail Nanjiani made me crack up with his whole fire thing. And then Logan Kim as a podcast kid was just like hyping him up like, dude, he can bend the flame. And they're like, he couldn't really even do it. And then even the little kid in the theater, he's like, they're like, he can do it. And she's like, without training, like just really loudly. And I'm like, yeah. But then in the end, he like totally pulls it together and he's like firebending.
Right.
It was just, I don't know. Overall, it was like hilarious and cool.
Totally. That's the thing. That's the thing for me that's what's so difficult about this movie. It's like there's so many great things, there's so many great actors and so many awesome characters returning, but it never kind of comes, it never meshes together in this way for me where I'm like 100% they knocked out of the park. And I don't know if I just had to take what the box office is doing and all that, it seems that is very like maybe a little bit of a common theme. But yeah, I wonder, like, I couldn't help but wonder, and I've already said this on the last episode, is like, I wonder if there was just too many characters and there was too many plot points. Like, I just wonder if they omitted, like, a few things had, if it would have flowed better. And, like, they just, like, there were so many characters that needed their story. So, yeah, I don't know. But there is a ton of really, really good moments in this movie.
Right.
And I wish it was like an A++, but it's like a B for me, and I'm like, I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I'll
totally
watch
a
it
fun
again,
watch.
sure,
yeah, totally like pick up on Blu-ray when you see it on sale kind of thing, one of those things. To me, it's like, would you buy it on Blu-ray? Sure. I'll wait for Black Friday though. And when I'm buying my stock up level,
Yeah.
By the
Or if it's on
way,
TNT.
Melody, TNT's a definite watch. No confirmed age on Melody. She is 16, but we don't know when she died. It was just that she died with her family. So no age on that. I think Kumail Nanjiani, I like Kumail Nanjiani a whole lot, but his character I felt was not quite fitting into the Ghostbuster verse. He fits into the animated Ghostbuster verse, but on live action, I might have been a little bit too much of a leap for the more casual viewers. Did you guys get that, or do you think like firebending might not belong here?
The firebending was weird, but I feel like you're gonna hate me for this. Maybe I feel like we're opposite. Like James A. Caster did not work for me at all. Like I don't know why. Like the comedy, I was like, this should be funny, but I wasn't laughing. But then Kumail, like I actually thought it was funny where he was like, Bill Murray was throwing the bread at his face, and he's wearing the bucket on his head or whatever it was, like the dish on his head. Like some of that shit just like got me. I'm like, God, I don't know. So it was. It had comedy for everybody.
It really did. Like Acast, for example, his whole comedy bit is deadpan. So he was literally doing like his stand-up routine essentially when he would like deliver a line and like nobody would respond to him. Like that's what he does on stage.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the point.
When it felt awkward, you're like, that's hilarious. He's nailing it. Like he like belittles you in like what should just be a simple response. Like in this movie,
Yeah.
like he's looking at you like what? But yeah, it's more subtle than Kumail. When Kumail's like he's very Kumail has a lot of expressions, like oh, his eyes
Yeah.
get big, and so it's like it's
and
very
I enjoy
different.
watching him. It's
Yeah.
just that the character I didn't feel
He
like
did feel a little out of place though, because
Yeah.
it was like it felt like Kumail was us getting to walk through the Ghostbusters
Yeah.
place for the first time. Like, you like when he's like, you there's a fire pole.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah.
It's like kind of derails what's going on, and you're like, well, yeah, that'd be me if I was on set, but like it did feel out of place. Yeah, I see what you're saying too.
Yeah.
The lore
makes
wise,
sense.
just in general, like the idea that there's I makes sense. Like we're talking about ghosts, like what's gonna stop people who have magic, right? Like, but yeah. And then also when they're cutting up one of the fire poles, did you guys like, why are you cutting it? And then you see the other fire pole and you thought it was a mistake, but then you notice there's two fire poles. That bugged me so much. Like not bugged me, but I was like, yeah, I better see two fire poles then. And sure enough, there was. I was
Yeah,
like, okay. I'm glad I saw that. That was gonna
That's a
bug the hell out of me.
That's a good point because I was like, where the hell did she saw this from? And then you see later on the fire pole, and it's like in one piece. Oh,
Yeah.
like, is that a mess up?
Okay,
No, there's
but
two of them.
also with that, they do a whole montage of her like melting it down and all that stuff, and I lean to my sister, and I'm like, that probably takes a lot longer, right?
Oh my god.
She's like,
Jonathan, Jonathan, who does like mechanics work, he's like, that's not how you plate something. I'm like, no shit. It's Ghostbusters.
And then she's got the one pack they need, and she's just upstairs while they're like shooting everything they got at the boss. And then she's like, oh wait, do you need my special pack that I've been working on? That's the only one that's gonna work. Like, it's like, what? Come on, girl, let's get down here. Like,
How visually cool was that pack though? Because like it was like sparks flying out of the back. It was like kind of leaking ooze. Like it was like definitely J-rigged. It was like, I want a lightsaber that's doing that, where it's like it's barely holding its containment kind of thing. That's what I was thinking when I was watching that.
You're right. It was like the Kylo Ren of plasma packs.
Yeah.
You know, like where you're like, this shit is gonna explode at any moment.
Yeah, it was that. Like,
Which is,
gonna explode.
by the way, what the judge / I think now mayor has been complaining about the entire time. They got nuclear weapons in the middle of New York, and these damn Ghostbusters are out of control. Honestly, like if you're voting for anybody, you're voting for him. Honestly, yeah,
that's true. She delayed on blasting the ghost, and then took out that diner's window.
Yeah.
Right?
Diner window.
And then they just walk through like, oh,
what were the ghosts doing? Eating some garbage in an attic. This one's reading a book. They're not messing with anybody. That one's in the sewers. Everybody's fine with ghosts.
Like,
right. A lot of them are just mischievous.
These guys are walking around the Empire State Building. Yeah. Or the
also,
what is it? Statue.
Yeah. Also, shout out to the little marshmallow dudes, and shout out to the possession ghost. They brought a lot of character to that ghost.
Oh, yeah.
Then you can see like when he was in the garbage bag, like that was like the most adorable garbage bag I've ever seen. It's like making noises.
Pixar make this character?
Yeah, it was like Disney Fantasia at that point. And you're like, yes, okay, you can work in live action. Let's do it.
That was great.
Yeah, good call out.
Good review. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, we're going to switch gears a little bit to an actual Disney property, which is X-Men 97. Obviously, I hated it.
John.
Dude, so fucking good. They keep bringing it every week. My fandom for it, I didn't know it could reach a higher level than 100%, but yet I keep finding new tiers. And we have episode 3 that drops. We haven't been able to talk about it. What did you guys think about X-Men 97 episode 3? And we'll start with you, Scott.
Solid episode. It's like you're saying. I didn't think I'd get more excited. It's like it brings up characters I kind of forget about. Or like never thought I'd see in like a modern cartoon, like with morphed eyes. And then it causes me like, I'm like, oh, I thought I knew more than I did. So I'm like, it's making me jump off after the show's done and like start doing research, and like it's like bringing like study nerd out of me, where I'm like, oh, I'm disappointed in myself. I need to know more. And like, and then within that, I'm like consuming more X-Men,
give me
which
a
I
call.
like.
You bastard.
You were busy, bro. You were at WonderCon. Living your best life. No. But yeah, I freaking love it. It's great.
Right on. Definitely. Yeah, Frank, do you have any other thoughts?
They're going for it, right? Like, who would have thought that we would have gotten spoiler alert, by the way. Who would have thought we would have completed essentially completed the Goblin Queen introductory arc? Like, while I'm watching, I'm like, credits gonna roll, right? Credits gonna roll, right? Because it's just going so far into the story, and then all of a sudden it's like squad's coming in to beat Madeline, and man, it's everything you'd want. Honestly, this could have been turned into an hour and a half, 2 hour movie, and MCU should have taken it. It was that good. It was
Yeah.
really good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. They packed so many storylines in this one episode, Fire Made Flesh. And I was like, how are they going to pull this off and bring it all together? But you're right. In this whole run that Madeline has in the comics, they were able to do it really, really well in one episode. And you're like, it still doesn't feel like it's for kids. There's
Yeah.
like, wait, that's not the baby mama. Oh, wait, that is the baby mama, but my actual wife's back. There's that element. And then they actually, like, I guess it's in the mind, but the whole, we're in hell. And then they go to hell and that action scene. I'm like, holy shit, this is an X-Men for adult audiences. And I love what they're doing. Everybody's getting their time to shine, and they're balancing this massive cast so freaking well. I'm continuing to be blown away. And we get a little tidbit at the end of Storm and where her story's going, but the creepy mansion, like that was such a good touch. Chef's kiss.
It was.
Yeah.
Now, much like your commenters on Threads, I do think this can be for kids, and they made
No,
sure to voice that opinion
This
on
is
you.
for adults. No, I think if you have, like, if you know, your kids are older, or like you have a good relationship with your kids or whatever, like 100%. Like this, I'm not saying it. You can't watch it with kids. But,
Well, I think the more heavier points are going over their head. Like when I watched,
True.
well, I hate to bring this up every week, but I think I do. Gargoyles. When I watched Gargoyles as a kid, I'm sure I didn't pay attention to every little detail. Now when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh wow, they're dealing with romantic relationship between these two. Blah 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 blah.
no,
I think
that's a good call out though.
right, but I think when they're watching this, I mean, like they might not understand. Oh, is she really the mom or anything like that? They're just like, holy cow, they're haunted. Oh, it's because Jean Grey's got a clone. Oh man, fire! The big awesome fight. I mean, that Cyclops Bishop power up. Holy cow! Like I think they're just like letting it happen to them, and then they'll revisit as I hope they revisit in the future, and they're like, oh, there's so many layers to this, and then they can revisit it in the comic books too.
You're so right. Yeah, you're right. It probably is just reflecting the times, but like I think if I had a 4-year-old right now, I'd have to be a little wary if I could show them this show, which is interesting. It's just like I don't know. That's just my personal take.
Well, think about the old X-Men series. I mean, that first episode, presumably, actually, we know for sure he did. Morph died, and
Right.
like they brought him back because people liked him, but like really, he died at the time. And so yeah, I mean, I wonder if it's because we're now adults watching it, we have a different perspective. But as kids, we were just like, oh, that sucks. But man, we got Wolverine still,
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it's true. And the comics have been delving into this adult area since the 90s. Like, you're right in that. It's just like, I think about me as a little kid watching this show and what it's evolved into from the animated series. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, we're talking pregnancy and like clones and like putting diseases in babies and them going to hell and like seeing your partner cheat. Like that's where my brain's going with this.
true.
And I'm like, holy shit, I don't know if I could show my 5-year-old this. But again, if you have like a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, you can decide. You're the parent. I'm not going to tell anybody how to parent. But I would have to wait a while to show them this version. Like the animated series, I'm like, go for it. But in rewatching the animated series to this, it really feels like they're trying to direct it in a way that adults can really appreciate too.
I agree with that. Yeah. I was actually thinking as a kid, when I was a kid, of course, Wolverine all day, right? Matter of fact, I disliked Cyclops because he got in the way of Wolverine and Jean Grey. But as an adult, I was thinking like, if I were a kid watching this now, who would be my favorite? What action figure would you want? I think I want that Magneto action figure. Because he's rolling in like a boss in this series.
Is.
I'm not a big fan of the big M. I know it's comic book accurate, but it's not as cool as the
Yeah.
original. But I think he would be my action figure.
You know what that M stands for?
It stands for hope on Krakoa.
It actually stands for Mr. Steal Your Girl. Okay, because he's coming in and stealing Rogue right from Gambit.
Oh man, I thought you were talking about that. Have you seen that meme, dude? I thought for sure that was you would have loved that. Where people are asking about the M. Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah. I haven't got around to posting it, but it's been saved.
Every X-Men meme usually comes from Thomas, or I'm sending it to Thomas.
It's true. It's true. I mean, that's it. It's just doing things so damn well. And again, like this is gonna sound like a brag, but just because I want to share it, like being able to talk to Jake Castorino and just tell him like, Yeah, I know. But it is. I mean, it's true. It just happened. Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
He. You know, I just got to tell him like, you've done such a good job of adapting it, and like you respected what was the heritage of X-Men the animated series, and like the way you've been able to adapt it and mature it and evolve it for modern audiences. Like, dude, fucking kudos to you guys, because like I'm as amazed by this show as I was when I was 6 years old. Like, this is. Didn't
Absolutely.
expect it. Like, I wanted it to be good. I hoped it would be good, but I didn't know it would be great. And I'm really surprised by that. And this episode just continued that trend. Excuse me, continued that trend. And it's like we're seeing an origin story for Cable in this. Sorry, full spoilers. We're also seeing that why Bishop was there. I kind of want to know why he was actually there in the first place, though. I think that's still a mystery. But we see that for the plot of it all, he's there to kind of bring Cable back. But I don't know. Is there any other things that like stood out to you guys in this episode?
You got anything there, Scott? Because I got more.
Yeah, there's one I was thinking at the end, like, or in the middle of it, right? Jean Grey or one of them reads his mind. I forget which one it was. But I was like, "Oh, this whole time you felt this way?" He's like, "This whole time, baby." And she's like, "I gotta
with
go.
Wolverine?
Scott needs help." Like, you know, and it was like for a second he was
That
like,
sucked.
"You're about to say you love me."
I know
but
Christina in that moment was like, oh, poor Wolverine. And I
yeah,
was like, yeah, that always
but
happens to him. It sucks. Yeah, it
but
really.
there's two of them now.
I know.
Right.
Like,
Oh,
one's like,
Stop.
"All
That's
right,
reminded me of another
I
meme.
better fuck off." And Wolverine's like, "Hey, I like to travel. Like, you know, like, why don't I've been known to travel. We should do
Right.
that together." But that didn't happen. I was like, "What? Poor Wolverine."
I know. You couldn't even have one of the two genes. That's terrible.
I
It's
do
like I
want
was like,
to
"No,
add as a
outta
testament
here."
though to Wolverine is the fact that it's not the looks. He's in love with Jean. And so it does it's a testament to him. Like he's actually in love with
Sure.
that girl, not necessarily just, oh, I like the looks, which means he's a little deep. I want to say, by the way, we're trying to figure out what's up with Bishop. In a clip from a future episode, we do see that they land in
No. I don't want to know. I'm gonna mute myself. I'm gonna take out my
you are
headphones. Go
Are
ahead.
you kidding me?
I know. I don't want to
I
know.
won't say
I'm
it.
not
I don't
kidding.
you got to edit this episode. You're gonna know if I say it, so I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah. No. I'm taking. I don't want to know.
Okay.
I want to
Okay.
be so surprised for this, and it's just
Oh,
like
man.
I
You're killing me
can't.
now that I want to tell you.
I can't. I know, and I just read the books leading into it because at the end of this
Yeah.
episode, we see that Storm's at the bar, powerless Storm, and that Forge walks in. This may be a spoiler, but this is from the comics. Do you guys
Yeah.
want to know it?
I know. Go ahead.
Okay. Do you want to know, Scott? Okay.
Yeah, go.
So, spoiler alert here for this one, but in the run Life Death, which, on Challenge Accepted, posted, like, I'm kind of reading those comics in that series, which is so fucking good. You should read it. We find out that the person who made the gun that actually depowers her is actually
right.
Forge himself. So, the fact that they become romantically involved and start falling in love, and then she finds out like, you're the reason why I can't feel the wind or control, or have powers anymore, is kind of like this huge rift in their relationship. But it's one of the best comic love stories I feel like I've ever read, and I hope that they really, and if the track record is there, like what they've done through episodes 1 through 3,
Yeah.
I think they're going to go there in episode 4, and it's going to be a really beautiful and kind of sad episode. So I can't wait. I think they're gonna crush it.
It's a two-parter, by the way. So that love or that life
Ooh.
death is a two-parter, life and death. So we'll probably get a full comic book run.
Ah, nice. Because that
Well, as
goes
long as
for
he
a few
fixes-
issues. Oh, sorry. Go for Scott.
I was gonna say, as long as he fixes the powers, right? No harm, no foul.
Dude, she doesn't.
You got to make your own
down.
opportunities, baby.
She's not down. In the comics, Forge creates this apartment where all the floors are see-through, basically, and every like surface can turn into whatever the environment is. And so she turns it into Vietnam, where his leg got blown off, and that freaks her out. I'm
Of
like,
course.
why would that be an option? Like, why would that be an option to
Wait,
turn your
what?
house
Wait,
like
who
that?
turns into that?
So she steals his remote in his apartment, and
And
like
it's a Vietnam setting.
there's like a Vietnam memory setting, and like scares the shit out of her, and as it should. And I'm like, why do you have that? Like, why
For
is that a setting?
therapy.
It reminds me of
Dude,
that
that's-
time when Xavier in the animated series is like, I need to really piss off Magneto. Here's the Holocaust again. It was like, holy shit, dude. You're Professor X. Come on.
Yeah.
There's limits.
Professor X does some messed up stuff in the
Yeah.
comics, but I do love the hell out of him still. One of the best leaders of all time. This episode though, they just have done such a good job. The fights in this episode too.
The fights, yeah.
Oh my gosh, like we kind of get to see a little bit of Cyclops versus Maddie, but then she quickly defeats him as she should, having Jean's powers. But then we get the Magneto versus Maddie fight, and just breaking all of the stained glass windows and shooting it at him, and he's like taking all the bars and trying to force field and block it. That was pretty.
You made
good,
a great
pretty
point that
top-notch.
that's how the Doctor Strange fights should have been in his latest movie is much more like that. And might be something that MCU might be learning, you know.
Yeah. They've just done such a good job with the action, and it's a little easier to convey it in animation, which I'm so happy they're continuing with this medium. And I've seen some of this debate online that's like, if the live action X-Men isn't as good as this, do I even want it? What are your guys' thoughts on that? Like, can they do it?
hell.
And would you still want an X-Men movie, knowing that we may not get this much CGI that can live up to the action that we're getting in this animated series?
Yeah, I want it.
Yeah.
Okay.
More
If we
X-Men
even get-
retellings? Fuck yeah.
Dude, could you imagine
Right.
if the whole movie was like, "Is this pretty good?" And then you see Cyclops skydive and then save himself with his optic blast in live action? You'd be like, "That made the movie." Like-
right.
Like all
That's
you
fair.
need is one solid scene. And granted, there's gonna be more than one solid scene, but like one solid scene could like make a movie. Like, you know,
Mhm.
Avengers Assemble.
Yeah. I mean, but to me, my X-Men in live action, I think it could potentially rival that. And I watched Anyone But You. We're not gonna go into full details on it, but Glenn Powell is also the co-star of that movie, and I want Glenn Powell as Cyclops. I stand by that. Like, it'd be sick to have
Yeah.
James Marsden back for Secret Wars, but like going forward after that, like I'm in the camp, like I want Glenn Powell.
Would actually look like Cyclops.
If he comes
Dude.
back, I bet it'll be for Deadpool.
Yeah. Well, you think they'll have it? We won't have him in Secret Wars?
We might have him in Secret Wars, but I think everybody in Secret Wars I think everybody in Deadpool will be in Secret Wars, so
Yeah. Okay. Definitely.
that
Well,
survived Deadpool.
yeah. I watching X-Men and then seeing Glenn Powell, I'm like, there it is. Like, cast that dude. He's such a star right now. He's got Twisters coming out, Top Gun. I mean,
He looks
all
good in
that.
shades.
Yeah.
You know this. Yeah.
Exactly. He's got the right hair and abs, so he seems like he'll do a good job. Yeah, that's my
you're
vote.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna try for the role, but I'll set aside. I'll wait. I'll go for Wolverine instead.
It's either you or Glenn.
You
dude.
got it, man.
It's
Yeah,
close,
you
it's
were
close.
Glenn for sure.
I know Mr. Iger. I'll make sure to make a call.
Right on. All right, what's the next topic, guys?
Let's talk about the other perfect animated superhero series, Invincible. So we're going to be diving into Invincible episode 7. I'm not going anywhere. And in this episode, we see Mark face problems with his relationship. Actually, it's basically just coming to a head. We've been waiting for this problem to come to a head. And we have a new threat that came from the skies that put Mark and his papa in check. Did you guys have a chance to watch this episode?
Oh yeah.
I did not. I was
did
at
not.
WonderCon.
Yeah. Well, bragging about WonderCon, drop the
I'm
name.
just-
AJ's my friend.
Why do you ask for? Why do you ask questions you know the answers to?
You should stop your day and watch it on your phone. Yeah, I really like this episode. Scott, what do you think about this episode off the top of your head?
I really like this episode. There was a
Yeah.
lot going on with it, but there was a lot of growth for characters. Still a lot of cool stuff to be shown throughout. Even a lot of comedy. There was a small part in
There
where
was,
they
yeah.
do the Comic-Con thing and they talk about how animators can save money. Very meta, very,
Bro.
like look taking a look behind how things are made, but done in such a funny way. Like, oh, so you
Yeah.
mean if you talk like this? Like it was just like
Deadline did a
funny.
whole article on just that one scene because it was like,
Yeah.
this is crazy accurate. It's like, yeah, it is.
It makes sense. And it's also like for the people like who complain, lay off.
Yeah.
You know, like if there are people, I'm not one of them, but
There's
I get it. It works for
yeah.
every
Have
person out
you
there. So
been
it's
on
great.
Twitter?
Rick and Morty
Yeah.
have done that too, where they basically put that meta joke in so that people can understand. Like, it takes us a year and a half. So when you're at conventions and you're saying, "When's the next season?" We're sorry, we're working on it. So yeah, but it was a really nice joke. And then for the relationship too, where we're seeing Mark and what's her name? Amber.
Is it
Amber,
Amber?
yeah.
Yeah, Amber. We're seeing Mark and Amber. Honestly, like, props to Amber for staying with this relationship for as long as she has. I mean, the guy goes off for a few months at a time, and she's as respectful as you possibly could be. But I mean, she's in college. She's got a budding life right now, and it's time to find something of a future. And I don't think it'll be with Mark. I don't think it could be with Mark.
Mhm.
And so the fact that she and Mark are now acknowledging the fact that their relationship is impossible, I think really sets us up for a more a more focused Mark in the future, and then Amber can go and live her life. I think that's probably best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
These-
That was, yeah, it was sad. Like, they
was.
did a good job of making you really feel for these two animated characters. Anytime I start feeling like a lot of emotion for drawings, I'm like, fuck, they really did a good job here.
Yeah.
Because like you do feel really bad for Amber, and like when they break up, it doesn't mean she's not gonna keep thinking about Mark like going forward.
Exactly.
She's that worry is gonna be with her forever now. She just can't be the one that's on the other end of that, especially if she's putting other people in danger, or if her life's in danger, or her family's life's in danger because she's a part of it. Like that's a lot to put on one person. And you feel for them both. Like they're like, oh, so where do we go from here? I don't know. Well, maybe that's the answer. And you just see them
Exactly.
start crying. You're like, oh my gosh, this is
Yeah,
so hard.
it's one of those things where
Yeah.
they both love each other so much they just know they can't be together.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, I was thinking about too, is Mark starting to realize. I think Amber's starting to realize that her being a part of Mark's life means that there's always a tool for the enemy, right? Because we see
Mhm.
this Vulture might come down and hold her hostage with no hesitation, no problems at all.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden Mark had to do what she wanted, and like, no, Mark, you should have attacked. And yeah, that would have killed Amber, but
Mhm.
she's seeing that she's in the way, and it's the same reason that Batman can't like say, "Hey, I'm Bruce Wayne." You know,
Right.
spoiler alert if you guys didn't know, Batman might be Bruce Wayne.
What?
I know, right? It's crazy. He's a rich guy.
Shit, dude.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool. Wow, that sounds like such a impactful episode in a lot of ways. And I haven't read the comics, and I don't want to.
Mhm.
Like I like not knowing about Invincible. Does this episode seem like it at least closes the door and could open the door for Adam Eve, like an Adam Eve relationship?
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that every time they talk to each other, right? There's like that little bit of like flirtation going on, it
Spark.
seems.
Maybe
Mhm.
pink
Yeah, a little bit of a
sparks.
spark going on. Yeah, yeah.
I
But
think
maybe, yeah, I haven't read the
yeah.
comics either though. Oh, sorry, Frank.
Well, no, I didn't mean to, but I think the main thing that this is doing is saying Mark's not ready for a relationship in general, and needs to focus on the current plan. And that's when the Vulture might comes down, and I can't remember her name necessarily.
Oh,
I know she's
Anissa.
Nissa, thank you. She's a
Mhm.
very important character in the comic books. I know that much. Or things going to go crazy with her, anyways. And so when she comes down and she destroys with such ease that you're like, oh wow. I mean, Mark's always the strongest in the room, and he might need a breather, but he's always the strongest in the room. And then above that would be Omega Man or Omni Man,
Omni-Man. Yeah.
right? But she comes in, and even the special agents, even Cecil's like, she's a lot faster than Omni Man, and that makes you realize like, and there's an army of them out there.
Wow.
Mark needs to not worry about Amber. Mark has to protect Earth, and there's a part in this too where Mark's like, oh, I made a deal when he's trying to figure out a way to still date Amber. He's like, I made a deal where 2 days a week is my days, and then after that confrontation, when he barely survives, Cecil's like, yeah, those 2 days are off. He's like, I know, like. We're focusing on Earth. That was perfect setting up for the future of Invincible, and maybe he'll find a relationship, but it has to be somebody that's able to fit on par with him, or even that might not even be his focus. But it was really a good way. I mean, I think the way she handled herself. What'd you think, Scott? Like the way she moved around, the animation for her was like, oh man, this is a whole other game that Mark's never played.
Oh yeah, it felt like Krillin fighting Frieza or something. Like it was just
I was
like
waiting for Dragon Ball.
it was like uppercut you in the air and then just appear behind you, and then like hit him down to the earth. Like it was very just
exactly
like
that.
almost like she's teleporting behind him. Like that's how fast she's moving, and she's
Yeah.
telling him throughout like, just submit and say you're gonna take over this planet. And he's really
Yeah.
stubborn. No, no, no. Even Cecil's like, just say it and we'll figure out a plan
Yeah.
later. He's like, no, and he's like, you fucking idiot. But she doesn't kill him, and she's like, someone else is coming, and
Yeah.
if you don't submit by then, everyone's gonna die. So like, and then you're thinking like, who's crazier than this lady? Like, so someone stronger is gonna come, and I guess they
Mhm.
gotta buy time for that. So Yeah, like you're saying, it's just like a peek into like how strong they are. This is one Viltrumite.
Yeah.
Like it's insane.
Wow.
And I want to make
And
sure to
it's-
add too, when they're fighting, by the way, when he kept saying no, at a certain point, you notice she almost had a smirk on her face. Like it's that thing of like, oh, there's something different in Mark that I'm not used to with my other people, because
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything for the future of the comic books, but she's starting to realize, oh, Mark's different. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, like, she gets kind of a kick out of that. Well, I haven't read the comic. I just know that like she's well hated. Like
Mhm.
like I guess in a way where like a villain should be. But like
Right.
she's just really a bad lady. But
Yeah.
I think I can't wait to see more of that. And then of course like the other small things we got was Rex is overcoming his fear.
Yeah.
He went on a mission by himself. Mark ended up coming in to save him, but I think he's gaining that confidence back. He fought what is it, Octoboss or something. That was pretty funny. He was like, "Me don't know much English" or something. Like he
Yeah.
was trying to speak and like not that not knowing English is funny, but he was
Can be.
yeah, especially when you're a giant octopus. It is hilarious, I'll tell you what. So there was that Monster Girl training with Robot, because as you know, Monster Girl keeps getting younger as she transforms. So he's trying to create a way for her to just like kind of run simulations. And she's
Mhm.
like just really against it. I don't know. I mean, I maybe she doesn't want to date him. Like that's the thing. But I really don't know why she wouldn't think that's kind of a good idea to be like, hey, I can train and not transform. Maybe she's looking forward to her death. You know, maybe she hates being what
Maybe.
she is, and
Yeah.
that could be it. But other than that, I'm like, I don't know what the hesitation is. You know, he's literally just trying to help. But that it is interesting. I like that story going on right now.
Yeah.
And then Immortal quits, and then Robot becomes leader. Um,
Whoa.
and then
Yeah.
what
That
was
is
the
some
other-
news. It's like,
Yeah.
and then Immortal quits and Robots come to the earth. That's like a pretty big deal.
Yeah, let that
like
sink in.
with this season, because
Yeah.
like Immortal just became the leader this season. So,
Well, Immortal just had a
wow.
loss that he hasn't felt ever. And I mean, the guy's
Yeah.
been around for a long time. And the fact of him to feel this loss in a way, it's like, oh, okay. I think it's him kind of realizing like he may not be dying anytime soon, but he might be in the elder part of his life where he's starting to rethink things. And I want to reflect
Mhm.
back on Rex too, who's also had a big awakening on like, I need to be an actual adult person with real feelings and real thoughts. And so
Yeah.
I think that character now is set up to be a character I can like. When I mean I love Jason who plays him, but he's a jerk to women.
Totally.
And so and
Dick
to
to
everybody, but
everybody.
like yeah, so I think he's going to be a character I can root for now. That'll be nice.
Right. And then
Nice.
after all of that, they go to an after credit. We get to see Alan run into the Viltrumites, and he's like, it's funny because he's like, it's like a ship sneaks up on him, and then Anissa comes out and starts
Mhm.
fighting him, and he gets punched, and he's like, ooh, and he's like, oh, that didn't hurt as much as I thought. And then he goes and punches her, and she immediately starts bleeding, and he's like, oh, I got stronger. So that was
Nice.
freaking cool. I'm excited to see him actually start going toe to toe because we know he got worked last time.
He
And then he
did.
kind of plays possum and like pretends to get knocked out and lets Anissa take him. And he does like the little open the eye smirk thing, and then he gets kind of taken to the ship. You're like, okay, it's the same ship holding Omni Man. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that's
what's that
how
paddle with the ball
Well,
on it, where you just like, you hit that paddle and the ball just keeps bouncing up.
the paddle ball.
Is that what it is?
it's
know.
the thing at the grocery store you beg your
I-
mom for. I don't know what it's
Yeah,
actually called.
right.
Yet.
That was
Yeah,
like
something.
his eye right before he
Oh, yeah.
died. Like
Oh,
they were
yeah.
just freaking paddle balling the shit out of that thing. So
I was talking to a friend. I wonder if Anissa was one of those three. I think she was that actually whooped his ass in the beginning.
Oh, really?
right,
I
because it
gotta
was
go
like
back
an
and check.
older lady that I think, and then there was a guy, and then there was someone else. So maybe
Was there a
is
younger-
Anissa
I think
like
that-
is
she's a younger
or
woman.
older? Oh,
Younger.
okay, yeah. Then it may be.
Also, we want to make sure to mention that Angstrom, sorry, makes an appearance. He's back, and I think he's going to be the final boss for the season. Um, played by the amazing Sterling K. Brown. I mean, the voice cast in this thing's insane. But I mean, his voice, I just oh god, please tell me you want a podcast and let me edit it for you. But yeah, he's
Right.
back and he's pissed.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
that's right. Yep. Yeah, we thought we
Um,
were gonna see him a lot later, but it seems like we're seeing him a lot sooner. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Man,
It's a good one.
Invincible.
You got to watch it for sure. Hopefully, we didn't like. I mean, granted, we just told you everything when it happened, but hopefully, you enjoy it when you watch it as well.
Yeah, I think this is one where it's, like I don't know if the spoilers are really going to affect it because
Yeah.
watching it, and as far as Invincible goes, it's one of those things you just have to see for yourself.
Mhm.
Like you can hear what's going on, and I have a pretty shit memory, so I'll probably forget by the time I put it on anyway. But like yeah, I have to watch this. The show's been so damn good, and animation, especially like adult focused animation, has just been stellar lately.
Mhm.
I can't wait. I love Invincible. I'm like loving this season.
Same.
Even there's even just a nice conversation. I won't go into it just so you have something to actually watch. Um, but what's his name? It's not Herbert. It's the guy that the assistant to Cecil.
Yeah, I know who you're
Donald.
talking about.
Donald, thank you. He has such a good conversation, and I think it was a really good thing about like identity and what makes you human and stuff like that. And I think that's something in this episode we're learning what is humanity, what's worth fighting for, what's worth skipping on, and what Donald learned is what Invincible is learning as well. And it's just a really Robert Kirkman.
Yeah.
What can we say? The guy's good at what he does.
Yeah.
Right? Can you
I agree,
imagine
that
like
was great.
Donald, like he was such a side character,
Yeah.
and the fact that I feel so bad for him realizing like what happened to his life is just like, how did you take this side character
Yeah.
and make me feel something for him like in the way I do? It's just
Yeah.
crazy. Like this show is so damn good. Like
There's a great
Kirkman
conversation in this one, man. You're gonna
Yeah,
love
it's
it.
really good. Yeah, you're gonna really love it.
with
Yeah, they do
Cecil?
such a good job of making you care for every character in this show.
Yeah.
Like,
oh
yeah.
my gosh. Hell yeah. Oh well. All right. Let's close this bad boy out because I got shit to watch.
I know. I'm sitting here looking. It's like it's 2 hours till X-Men, guys.
I know.
Midnight.
I know. I'll do all nighter. Let's go,
Dude, yeah, see, I
Uh,
forgot exactly when it came on. I'm like checking it like every hour this morning at work. I'm like, when does it drop?
Yeah.
right. I don't know what time it drops in Hawaii, but here in California, it drops at midnight. And
Yep.
yeah, I have not been going to sleep till after 1 because there's so much cool shit that drops after midnight. So we have something to get into. I'll let you guys have some of your final thoughts and closing words, and then we'll have you close it out, Frank. Go for it,
All
Sam.
right. Yeah, so thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being nerds with us. Go out and check out all the things. If you haven't seen all the things we're talking about yet, go and check them out. Even if we spoiled them, it's worth seeing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If joystick spoiled anything for you, think of it much more like your friends at work that you like to bullshit about things with, stuff like that. So if you're like, oh, I'm not going to watch Invincible, oh, no, watch it and then come back and visit this episode again. And that way it's like your friends are talking to you. Make sure you guys drop a review for Joystick. It's so important, guys, to climb those charts. Make sure you drop on those reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Those are the 2 big ones right now. Apple's number 1, Spotify number 2. So make sure you drop those reviews.
Damn, that's a plug right there. Well,
Yeah,
clipping that and putting that in front of every episode.
Oh,
All right,
sure.
everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I couldn't say it better than both of these guys. As always, mahalo, and thanks for sticking with us. Although that's
The
never done.
Joystick Show. The Joystick Show.